Welcome to Creating Effective Tables. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to create an effective table in Word. My name is Joe Munch, and I'm part of Editing Services in MD Anderson's Research Medical Library. Many, if not most, journals require the tables be submitted in the same Word document that also contains the title page, abstract, manuscript text, references, and figure legends, so it's important to know how to build an effective table in Word. For this demonstration, I'll use a simple patient characteristics table as an example. First, here's how not to create a table in Word. This table has some problems, but it looks pretty straightforward and neat otherwise. This table was created by using tabs and spaces to organize data. However, this approach can present some problems if the table needs to be adjusted by changing the size of the text or the font. For example, changing the size and font of the text used in this table pushes some values out of their column. You can see how such seemingly small adjustments can lead to big problematic changes in the table. You can imagine the confusion if the tabs and spaces approach is used to create tables with more than just 2 columns. So we, and many journals, advocate using tools in Word to create tables. For this demonstration, I'll use Word in Microsoft 365 for Windows. Other versions of Word may look a little different, but in general, the commands should work the same, and the items I'll be referring to should be in similar locations. To begin, go to Table under the Insert tab in the ribbon and select Insert Table. At the prompt, select the numbers of columns and rows you want the table to have. In this simple example, we'll select 2 columns and 10 rows. Here's our table, 2 columns, 10 rows. In this example, the column headings will be characteristic and number of patients, percentage, and equals 50. Note the asterisk. I'm including data that can't be measured in patient numbers, and I'm going to account for this by adding a footnote to the table. Now I can enter information about these patients, beginning with age, the data that can't be expressed as a patient number, and then include other information about the 50 patients, including their sex distribution, previous treatments, and so on. Here's our table with all data accounted for. This is also more or less what a table looks like when it's been copied and pasted from Excel. Not a bad start, but we can improve it further. Let's address the right column first. By convention, the row headings in the leftmost column are aligned left, but text in the other columns is usually centered. To center that text, highlight the entire column, and then click on the center text icon under the Home tab in the ribbon. The text is centered. There's a small caveat here. Numerical data, such as those shown here, should be aligned to the decimal point in tables. You do this by creating a decimal tab. Keep an eye on the 5(10) value at the bottom of the right column as we go through the next steps. To create a decimal tab, first highlight the values you want aligned to the decimal point. Next, right-click on the Tabs button at the far left of the ruler until the words Decimal Tab appear. Left-click on the ruler above the column with the highlighted values to place the tab, which is indicated with a symbol that looks like an upside-down T with a dot. Click on the tab symbol in the ruler and drag it to adjust the placement of the text until it is centered in the column. Notice that the 5(10) value has been moved slightly to the right to align with the values above it. In this case, the effect of aligning values to the decimal point is small, but in a larger table with many values, such alignment greatly improves readability. Let's look at the left column now. What's the main issue here? Well, several types of characteristics are presented. Age for one, sex, and previous treatment. But without these colors, it can be difficult to see where one set of characteristics ends and another begins. To differentiate among these sets, we'll add some indentation to indicate the subheadings. You can add indentation by selecting an indent on the ruler. To do that, highlight the subheadings you want indented and click and slide the right indent markers, both the top and the bottom ones, to the right. The subheadings are indented. We do the same for the subheadings under Previous Treatment. Here's the table with the names of the subgroups indented. You can see how much easier it is to read the left column and to understand how the information is organized. Now, there's one small but important issue left to address before we turn our attention to the design of the table. What does XRT stand for? It's a pretty common abbreviation and one that many readers would likely understand. But convention dictates that abbreviations in tables should be defined in a footnote, either alphabetically or in the order in which they appear from left to right, top to bottom in that table. With a footnote, there's no question what XRT stands for. Regarding the design of the table, by convention, horizontal lines are not included, save for those at the top and the bottom of the table and one below the column headings. Vertical lines are not included at all. Here's how to get rid of them. Click anywhere on the table, then right-click on the icon at the top left of the table to bring up this menu. Select Borders and Shading to bring up this interface box. Look at the right under Preview. All buttons are darkened or selected, save for those depicting diagonal lines. This means that every individual cell is outlined in the table. To eliminate all vertical lines and to eliminate horizontal lines within the table, while keeping those at the top and the bottom of the table, deselect all but the top and bottom horizontal line buttons, as shown here. Ensure that Table is selected in the Apply To drop-down menu and click OK. All but the horizontal lines at the top and bottom of the table have been removed. The gray lines that remain are grid lines. These lines are used to delineate the borders of the cells, and they won't appear in printouts or PDFs of the file. A horizontal line should appear under the column headings. To add that line, highlight the top row of the table and right-click again on the icon at the top left of the table to bring up this menu again. Select Borders and Shading again to bring up this interface box again. Ensure that both the top and bottom horizontal line buttons are selected. But this time, select Cell rather than Table in the Apply To drop-down menu to apply these lines to the selected cells rather than the entire table. Click OK, and a horizontal line appears below the top row of cells. And here's the final table, almost. You may have to adjust the column widths to meet the journal's sizing requirements or if the table seems too airy. To do that, just click on the horizontal guides and slide them left or right as you desire. Here's the final table. This table has all the features of an effective table. It has a descriptive title. It has clear column headings. It has row headings with clear categories. It has neatly aligned data with units indicated. And it has explanatory footnotes that ensure that readers can understand the table even when it is separated from the text. Thanks for viewing this video on creating an effective table in Word. For further information about scientific writing and publishing, or to request editing or a consultation with an editor, check out these resources from the Research Medical Library.